Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this video, I'm going to show you top 12 Google Sheet functions that you must know in 2023. And once you learn these functions, you will be pro in Google Sheet and you will be able to do any task by using Google Sheet. So let's get started the video. So I'm on the Google Sheet now, and the first topic we will cover Flash Fill, where we will be using Flash Fill to fill up lots of data in just few seconds. So next function we will learn is text to column, where we will be converting text to multiple columns. And then we will learn concat functions. By using concat functions, we will combine and make lots of data in one cell. And then we will be learning conditional formatting. So conditional formatting is most powerful function that we have in Excel, and we will be using conditional formatting to format our cell in various conditions. And we will be learning drop down list, like how you can create drop down list, how it is useful. And then we will be learning how we can create checkbox and how it is useful in your daily task. And moving on, we will be learning XLOOKUP in large data set, how you can use XLOOKUP. I'm going to share you lots of tips as well, how you can deal with XLOOKUP when you omit any error. And then we will be learning pivot table. So pivot table is also powerful tools in Excel that you have, which you can use to analyze very large data in very quick time. And then we will be learning date functions. So date function is also very useful when you are calculating days, month or time from one to another dates. So we'll be learning date functions. Then we will be learning if functions and if errors. If error is also most useful Excel function that you can use most of the time whenever you are having any error with your formulas. And lastly, we will be learning macros. Macros is the most powerful tools that you have in Excel, which you can use to automate your daily tasks. So macro can capture all the repeated tasks that you do in Excel, and next time whenever you come back, you can apply the macro and it is going to do all the tasks automatically. Now you can see I have example email ID where we have lots of employee emails. These are the emails that we have today, total 100 emails we have. So now from this email we need to subtract first name, last name and the company name. So you can see there is a pattern. So first name dot last name at the rate company name. So we'll be using this pattern to just quickly subtract first name, last name and the company name from this data set. So first we will need to enter one or two cell informations manually. So we'll be entering first name John, John. Then we'll be entering the second data, last first name, which is Jane. And then we'll be going to third, which is Mike. See, as soon as I click third, the Google Sheet has already recognized that it is following the same pattern and it is giving me advice. Would you like to accept the flash bill suggestion? So I can see that it is already picking the first name from this name, which is Sarah, then this, then Noah. So I'll be just clicking on this check mark. So it is going to fill up all the cell first name from this data email address. Now there's a shortcut you can use, which is Control Shift Y if in case this doesn't appear. So make sure try to enter 2 to 3 data manually. So we'll do the same with this and all the email ID first name has entered here, the last name entered here, and the company name has been entered in these sections. So this is a very useful and powerful tools that we have in Google Sheet, which we can use to save our lots of time when you are entering lots of like data, when you are working with big data like this. And this is going to be very useful and it's very easy to learn. So let's move to our next function, which is going to be text to column. So we'll go to next functions. So now here we have some example data where I have the name, age, occupations, city, and the salary. So now this data is not useful because we have alphabet and numbers. So we want to separate it in different columns. So you just have to select the all data by Control Shift down, Control Shift page down. Then just go to data, and there is a options called split text to columns. So once you click on it, it's going to split the data automatically. You see there's a separator, so sometimes it doesn't split. You can select the separator. So in our case it has already split the data. So we have first name, age, occupations, city, and the salary. So we'll be using next function, which is concat functions. So concat function is basically combining two text and putting into in one cell. So you can see, now let's say we have an example data set where we have the first name of the employee, last name of the employee. Now we want full name of the employee in this cell, and we want to create an email ID using first name dot last name @abc.com. So we'll be doing it. So first we'll click on equals to, then we'll type concat and we'll select concatenate by tab, and then we'll select the first cell. Now click a comma, select the second cell, close the parenthesis, press enter. Now you see it has entered the data, but this is not how we want, because there is no space. So we want to add a space between first name and last name. So we'll go ahead and delete it. Now to add a space, what we will need to do, once you select the first cell, after the comma you need to select the double quotation mark and add a space. Now we will add a comma here. So what we have selected for this space, so double quotation mark, space, and a comma, and then we'll just press enter. Now we'll accept the suggestions. Now you see the first name and the last name has combined, and we have created the full name. So you can see the full name. Now we want to create email ID, as I said, with using first name, last name, and the @abc.com. So we want to add a dot between the first and last name. So to do that, we'll click on this cell, type concatenate, then we'll click the first name, add a comma. So now as we want a dot between first name and the last name, so we'll select, so to add a dot we need to add the dot under quotation mark. So we'll add a quotation mark, add a dot, add another quotation mark, add a comma. Now and select the last name. Now we will again select a comma. Now we want to add this @abc.com under another quotation mark. So we will select the quotation mark and type @abc.com, close the quotation mark and close the bracket. So this is how it's going to create the email ID. Accept the suggestions. Now you see the email ID has been created by using first name dot last name, then same with an adding company name. So this is how you can master concat functions and do lots of tasks in your daily life by using concat functions. Concat function is extremely useful when you are maybe adding multiple text and maybe making or creating some this type of functions. So next we will be learning conditional formatting. So conditional formatting is basically formatting your cells or data set based on certain conditions. Like in this data set we have seen that this date and this date and this date, it is highlighting in green. So now salesman is highlighting in a purple color, and again the salary, which is 65,000, is highlighting in another color. So there are certain conditions that we have applied to highlight this cells. This is extremely helpful functions when you want to format your cell based on certain conditions. So we will see how we can apply this conditional formatting. So first we will select the data, and we're going to delete this condition that we have right now. So to do that, we'll first go to format. We need to go to this function called conditional formatting. Once you click on it, you see all these functions have been already added. So I'm going to delete these functions. Now you can see there is no condition, so we'll be adding the conditions. Now we want to highlight the employee who's from, let's say, salesman, in green colors. So this is the dashboard you have once you click on conditional formatting. So the range is already selected. Now we want to select the salesman, right? So we need to click on it, format rules. So these are the rules that you can apply to format your data. So now we want the text. So we'll select the text, and now the text should be salesman. So see, the salesman has already been selected. So now I want the salesman to be colored in, let's say, green color. So it has already selected. Now to add one more conditions, now let's say I want to add the employee who has more than 50,000 salary in another color. So we'll select now the formatting rules again. Now here, instead of selecting text, we will select greater than rules. So greater than equals to rules we will select, and we will enter 50,000. So any employee who has more than 50,000, the salary I want in, let's say, in this color. So these are the employee who has salary more than 50,000. So now let's say I want to add one more rules, like any employee who joined before 2000, I want to color it in another color. Instead of text or number, I'll be going to date function, date formatting rules. So to date formatting rules is in these sections. So we'll be selecting date before here in this options. So date before, and in this column we need to say select the date. So we will be selecting exact date. You have all these functions like yesterday, tomorrow. We'll be selecting exact date here. So now we need to enter the exact date in the format of year, month, and date. So I want the employee which is before 2000, and month is 1, date is 1. So it's giving us error because we have selected all the data set. Instead of, we need to select here only the start date. Basically on this column we need to select. So we need to change our range here. So we want to select this C from 3 to, let's say, 15. So we'll change the range from B to C. Okay, now we will change the color to, let's say, this color. Yeah, so now you can apply in multiple rules, like age above 50 or 30, or so many rules you can apply as per your need. So we are done. So now we can see that all the employee who has joined before 2000 has been highlighted in this color, and all the salesmen has been highlighted in this color. Salary which is more than 50,000 has been highlighted in this color. So you can apply multiple conditions like this and format your cell accordingly. So next functions we will be using drop down list. Drop down list is extremely useful when you want to create a data, and when you want to maybe collect data from others and give them options. So now we have a data set here, and we have the name of the, let's say, employee, and we want to create a drop down menu, let's say, for gender. So we'll click on the cell here and select the range one gender up to this cell. Then we will go to insert here on the top, and then we'll need to select on this menu called drop down. Once you click on drop down, you will see the drop down options coming up like this. Now in drop down, the range is already selected. So this is the drop down dashboard. So the criteria is going to be drop down. Now you can add as many as options you want. So now we want, let's say, male employee. Second, we want female. Third, we want other. So let's say for male we want to keep this color, for female we want to keep this color, and for other we want to maybe keep kind of maybe this color red. Yeah, so is you can add as many as options. You can keep different types of names, or category you can decide as per your need. So click on done. So now when we will select, let's say, Albert, select gender as male, and we select gender as female. For this, select gender as male, then we select as a female, we select other. So you can select, so you'll have this drop down list, and you can select accordingly as per the data or as per the need. So this is how you can create drop down list in your data. So next functions we will learn checkbox, and so how you can use checkbox and how it is useful and how you can create checkbox. So you can see, so few employee has selected, so whenever I change it, so maybe the percentage change here. So now if I just change it, you can see the color change to yellow. So if I click on one more attendance, the color change to let's say, green. So if I reduce the attendance, so color change to red. If I more reduce it, so percentage change. So basically this is type of data you can create by using checkbox. So first let's go ahead and delete this data. So now to create checkbox, you just need to select your data set where you want the checkbox to be. So go to insert and click on this button called checkbox. So you see the checkbox has been added. So now what I have done, so if I just click on options here, you see the color get changed. So what I have done, I have first applied some formula here to count this checkbox. So you can do the same. I have applied formula called countif, or I have selected countif, select this range and select this functions which is conditions true. So let's say if I select true, so if I select any data here, it count it as a true and it give me a percentage because I have divided the data by 5. And then I have selected this cell and added a conditional formatting. So if I select this cell and go to format, click on conditional formatting, so you can see I have selected this conditional formatting, like value is greater than 75%, it will be green. If value is greater than 59%, it will be yellow. If value is less than 41%, it will be red. So if you want to change the color, so I can go ahead and change the color to, let's say I want this as this color. So if the employee has not attended basically less than 40%, it will give this color. As soon as it goes to 60%, it gives the color. As soon as it goes to 80%, it gives the green color, and 100% it changes to 100. I mean, if you want, you can add multiple other conditional formatting in these sections. So that is it. Next functions we will be learning about XLOOKUP. So let's go to next functions. XLOOKUP is extremely useful when you have large data and you're looking for some data. So in our example, let's say we have a data set here. We have the employee ID, first name, last name, age, gender, department, salary, start date, end date. Now the questions here is that we have another data where we have the employee ID only, and we need to find department and the salary of this employee ID. So now to do that, we need to use the XLOOKUP, and based off this employee ID we can match it here, and we want the salary in return and the department in return in this box. So we'll be using XLOOKUP in these conditions. So we'll first press equals to, then type XLOOKUP, and then we need to select source key, so what you are looking for. So first we're looking for this employee ID, we have selected that. Now we'll click on comma. Now we'll need to select a lookup range, so where this source key is going to be. So we want this source to be in this data set. Then we'll be selecting a comma again. Now next we need to select results. So results range, so what we want in return. So we want to return department and salary. So we do have department column and salary column here. So we'll be selecting department and salary column. Then we'll just close the brackets, press enter. So you see now the account name and the salary has been added. So now if you just drag it, it should work fine. Let's go ahead and drag it. Now it has given us some error. So let's find out why. So now when we click on this cell, so we can see in this cell we're looking for B17, which is this cell B17, and we're looking for in B3 to B11, which is going to be from this range to this range, B3 to B11, and we want a result from G3 to H11. So it's going to be G3 from here and H11 till here. So that looks fine. So now when we're going to the second data, so we want now in this data we want now B18. Yeah, we're looking for this time B18. So now it has also incremented the lookup range. So the lookup range has also increased by 1. Now you can see earlier, if I click on the earlier cell, it was B3 to B11. Now if I click on this cell, it has changed to B4 to B12. So basically from this to this, right? So now same, if I click on it, this cell, because it's giving error, now we want to look for this cell which is B19. and we want to make sure that we're looking for this into this lookup range. So now if I click on it, and you see now this has incremented the value again of the lookup range, which is from B5 to B13. So it has taken the value from B5 to B13, right? And this data is available here, which is B4. So now the reason it has given error because it couldn't find the data. So to solve this problem, what we need to do, let me show you. We need to lock our lookup range. So we need to ensure that it looked for the whole range. So starting from B3 to B11. So this is the major reason maximum time we get lookup error. So like this, not applicable, or NA, or error. Yeah. So we need to lock this cell in this formula, and also it has also incremented our results range. So let's check the results range. So in this column you can see the results range is G3 to H11, and this column is G4 to H12, and in this column it is G5 to H13. So we want to ensure that the result range is also same as G3 to H11 for all the search that we do. So we need to lock this lookup range and the result range. So how do we lock it? So first we'll click on the first formula again. So to lock it, we can click on this lookup range that we're looking for and click on it between the B and 3, and just add a dollar sign here, and then click on B and 11 again, add another dollar sign here. So now this cell, this lookup range has been locked. So again we will click on result range, we'll add a dollar sign here, and click on H and 11, we'll add dollar sign here. Now we'll just press enter. So this time we'll just drag it to the bottom, now see, it has not given us any error. So let's find out why. So now if I change it, you can see it's only, this value is only increasing. However, the lookup range and the result range is not increasing or decreasing. You can see that. So because of which we have got the correct result. So let's verify one or two. So let's say this, we're looking for 1005 HR and the salary is 50,000. So let's check for 1005. So 1005, the department is HR and the salary is 50,000. So which is quite correct. So make sure whenever using large data, make sure locking your lookup range, and also locking the results range to get correct XLOOKUP values. So let's move to next function, which is going to be pivot table. So we have example data set here. So the pivot table is very useful when you have large data set and you want to analyze the data. You want to analyze some patterns, and you want to analyze the data in a short way. So we have the data here where we have the date of the sale, product name, price, revenue, and returns. So we can see that the same product has been sold multiple times, like HP printer we have sold on 23rd, and the HP printer sold on again 25. So again here, so we can see a pattern. We do have same product and sold in different dates. So to create, now the questions here is that we need to find out return by products, sales and return by product. So we'll need to create a pivot table for that. So we'll select the data first. So we'll select the data from the top, control page down. Now you can go to create on the top, and you can create pivot table. So once you click on create pivot table, you will be getting small dashboard like this. Now the range has been already selected as we have selected it. Now very importantly, you will have to select insert to. So basically the table that you are going to create, where do you want to insert, in another new sheet, or you want to insert in the same sheet? So I want to go with the same sheet, so I'll be selecting existing sheet. If you want to create it in a new sheet, so it'll be creating in a new sheet, you need to select this one. So I want to create an existing sheet, so I have selected existing sheet. I'll be select the locations like this one, click it. So the location has been selected. Now press OK, and now I'll just click on create. So now it has created the pivot table. So now in pivot table, the most importantly, you will need to select the row, because now we want the sales by product and return by product. So the product category is going to be our row. So we will be selecting add row and select the product name. Now in values, you need to select like whatever outcome you're looking for. So now we want to know each product, let's say sales, which is revenue, and the return. So in values, we need to add the revenue and the return. So we'll be selecting add. First we'll select revenue, which is sales, and then we'll be selecting again add one more values, that is going to be return. So now by default, sometimes it count, the calculation happens as sum or count a. So if you want to just count the cell, so you can select count a, or so many other minimum average, so you can select it. For my case, I want sum, so I'll just select sum, which is already selected. Just close it. So now you can see for each product I have the data, which is selling good, which is not selling good, so we can take a decisions on it. So for Airport Pro, I can see it is selling really well. So for our case, Airport is selling well, I can see, and the return is 55,000. Similarly, the camera is selling. So we can see the sale of each product and their return in this case. So we can decide on the basis of the data. So like we can see that MI is selling and the return is the same, so which is showing us that this product is not good for selling. So same, we can take multiple decisions basis on this pivot table. So you can create multiple pivot table on the basis of multiple criteria. So next functions we will be learning date functions. So now we are on this sheet. So now we have the data set of employee ID, first name, gender, job title, start date, end date. So the task here, we need to find out serviced years. So we can see the start date and the end date. So we need to count how many years the employee has worked. Yeah. So we'll click the cell, type equals to, then type days, select a comma. Now we need to select end date here and the start date. So it's going to basically subtract end date to start date. So we'll select the end date first, then add a comma, then select the start date, close the bracket. So it's going to autofill. So now we can see that the number of days that the employee has worked in the organization, can see it, but we want it by the years. So to do that, we'll just select the formula here, add a divide sign, and then add 365. So we'll be dividing this by 365, and once you divide it by 365, you can see there are multiple numbers after the decimal. So let's say we don't want anything after the decimal, so we'll click on it and add a parenthesis before days, and we'll convert it into int, basically integer. So it's going to round up the values for us. Just click on it outside it. Oops. So I'll just add it again, add an int, close the brackets. So now you see it has already rounded up. I can just scroll it down to the bottom. So now we can see the employee has worked for 13 years, 16 years, 17 years. So depending on their start date and the end date. So the formula is already here, which is int days, and then the end date, start date, and divided by 365. This is how we can find difference of days or years or month, depending on the data and depending on the need. So we have the data set here where we have the employee name and age, and we want to create a category. If the age is less than 18, we want to call it as teen. So if the age is above 18, we want to call it as adult. So we will be using ifs functions to apply multiple conditions and create the category here. So type equals to, type ifs, select this equals, select this brackets, and we'll be selecting the cell here, and we'll be giving the conditions like if this cell is less than 18, then comma, so we want to call it as teen. So now what we have given here is that we have selected the cell and we have tell Excel that if this cell is less than 18, we want to call it in value as a teen. So we'll be adding a comma. Now we can add the second conditions. So now if this cell is greater than 18, comma, in value what do you want? So we want, oops, so this cell is greater than 18, so in value 2 we want to call it as adult. So make sure you are giving the values under this double quotations if you are entering some numbers, some alphabets. So we'll close the brackets, and now as this age is which is less than 18, so this has been categorized as teen. So if we just scroll it down to the bottom, you see where this age is above 18, this has been categorized as adult, above 18 categorized an adult. So you can use if functions and give multiple criteria, and based of that you can expect you can get returns whatever you want. So next functions we'll be learning if error. So if error is useful when you are applying a formula in Excel, and so whenever your formula doesn't work, you get error. So to deal with error, you can use if error functions. So basically when you are applying any formula, so if basically the formula doesn't work and it gives you error like NA not applicable, so you can define a values that if it is error, then you want this in return, like maybe 0 or blank. So like in this example that we have here, which is the price of apple, you can see $1, price of orange which is 90 cents, then banana there is no price, so there is error. So grape, mango, so we have price. Similarly in quantity we have one error here, and mango the quantity is 0. So now if we try to find out the total price by just selecting the equals and multiplying by price into quantity. So if we want to find out total sales, we'll press enter here, just scroll it down, see. Now in here we have got two error. So first error, because we cannot divide, so we cannot multiply error with a number. So this is the first error. The second error we have here is that we cannot multiply again number just price with error. So the third we have got error because you cannot multiply number with 0. If we do that, the results would be 0. To deal with this error, we can use if error functions. So let's see how we can use it. So after equals, you can just add a bracket here, type if error. Now I'll be selecting the values. So we have entered equals to if error. So if this formula gives an error, so you can just add a comma. Now what if error, if this formula gives an error, so what do you want in return? So you can just define, maybe, so you can define whatever you want in return. There is error in price or quantity. So we'll just close the brackets, enter it, and just apply it to the all data. Now see, this to error has given us there is an error in the quantity or price. So this also has given us error in quantity price. So when you have really large data and you can apply if error, so that you can understand, okay, for this data there is an error in the price which I need to fix. You can also do that, like instead of this details, you can just say that if there is an error, so I want in return nothing, just blank. So for blank you can just use double quotation mark, then press enter. So we just do that, just scroll it down to the bottom, you see. So there was an error, so now I can see it's a blank, however the formula is applied. So if error is useful in this type of problems, when you are getting some error, when your formula is giving some error, so you can define a value that you want. If it is an error, so you want this value in return. So the next functions we will be learning in Excel, which is macros. So macro is extremely useful when you want to automate your task. So if you're doing some daily task, like maybe summations or applying some conditional formatting or some task that you have to do daily on the daily basis, so you can use macro functions. Macro basically records the task that you do in your data, and whenever you will have the same type of data again, so you can just apply the same macro and it is going to do all the tasks in just a second. So that is how you can automate your task and save tons of time. So this is the data set where we have employee ID, employee name, gender, job title, salary. So to record macro, we'll go to this extension and we'll go to macro and we'll click on record macro. So we need to, now whatever the task you will do, it is going to capture. So first, let's say we want to create annual salary type equals then this amount divided by 12, which is already auto selected by Google. Click auto apply. Now we want to calculate, let's say, a bonus. So bonus, we want to give employee 10% of their annual salary. So we'll click on it, equals just annual salary into 0.10%. Just enter. So this is the bonus amount. So now I want to calculate net salary, which is going to be equals to annual salary plus the bonus. We'll apply it to the all data. This is the net salary of our employee. Now we'll just highlight this header and let's say change the color to yellow. Now now the task that we have done, we have created annual salary, we have added a bonus, and we have created net salary. Then we have highlighted our header and change it, make it bold. Now we'll just save our macro. So this macro will name it as like annual salary. So make sure when you are naming your macro, make sure you use underscore. So you can give a filter. Let's say we want to give it filter as control shift, maybe N. So control or command option shift N. So this is our macro shortcut is going to be. So we'll click on save. So we need to give it a number. So we'll give it number as like 2. So command option shift 2. So this is the shortcut. So it's going to create the macro now. So now macro has been created. So now let's go to a new data sheet. So now in this data set, we have the employee name, gender, job title, salary. So now let's say we want to do all this task like calculating salary, calculating bonus, calculating net salary, and then highlighting the header, changing the color. So we want to do all this task. So we don't have to do the task again, as we have already captured the macros. We can simply go to extension and go to macros, and we can apply the macro that we have created. So once you click on apply macro, it's within a second it's going to do all the tasks automatically. I've seen that, finish the script, so everything is done. Boom. So you can see the annual salary, bonus, net salary, everything has been calculated by the Google Sheet macro. So that is the power of macro. You can record macro and do lots of tasks in your data and just record it under a name, and next time when you have the same type of data and you want to perform the similar type of task, you can just apply macro and that is going to be done in just few seconds. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching till the end. I'm going to share this Google datasheet in the descriptions of the video for you to practice, so you can download the sheet, practice yourself. Thank you so much for making it to the end. If you like the video, do like and subscribe to our channel. Have a good one.